feel very good about our roster. We do. We like the things that we've done, and we like the guys that we have. You know, we feel there are a couple spots that we most certainly do feel we need to upgrade, but just a few. And so, again, putting ourselves in the right type of situation, I think is what we're doing.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. Selectively aggressive, making the right decision, when to be aggressive, but certainly there'll come a time when there's time to do that.
Today, in fact, we had a very good meeting earlier. And one of the things that we talked about, again, was, you know, the four options we have on the roster, in free agency, in the draft, and potential trades. And you got to look at all avenues. And then you've got to kind of predict and look at which ones intrigue you, and then go from there.
Is acquiring both a question at this point?
No, nothing's out of the question.
I would just echo what Coach said and tell you that we've started the process. We've been talking about this for several months now and how we move forward. But again, every avenue, uncover every stone. We'll look at every situation out there and try to find the right guy.
What's going on, Washington Commander Nation? See, that's going to take a little time to get used to, but we're going to do it. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Rambling with Rio, the YouTube channel where we ramble about the Washington Commanders football team, baby. We are on to a huge offseason, and this big transition, the rebrand, all of it is all out of the way. We can keep talking about it, but for the foreseeable future, I don't want to talk about the name on a crest, the colors or design of a number, black uniforms, a botched rollout, or the past monikers. I want to talk about what matters. And what matters is, one, we are now the Washington Commanders. Two, nothing else matters until we get a franchise quarterback. It's been the thing we've been looking for since Daniel Snyder purchased the team in 1999. We've had a lot of swings and misses, but we cannot just give up and settle for mediocrity or ineptitude at the most important position in all of professional sports just because we failed in the past. Ron Rivera, Marty Hurney, Martin Mayhew have nothing to do with what Vinny Serrato or Bruce Allen or the front office members of the past have made, Scott McCloughan, Kyle Smith. They have nothing to do with that. They have to put their own stamp on the building of this football team. And the worst two kept secrets in the league right now were, one, that the name was going to be the Commanders, and two, that Washington is going to do everything it can this offseason to take a big swing at the quarterback position. And there's been smoke coming everywhere. And when there's smoke, there's fire, baby. We're being connected to very specific superstar quarterbacks. So let's get right to it, man. Mike Silver, esteemed writer, NFL Network, Sports Illustrated, and as of last year, a key content contributor for our Washington Commanders, who went to school with and has a very close connection and relationship with Riverboat Ron Rivera. So whenever he reports something, you can pretty much take it as gospel because they talk. Ron brought him here for a reason, and he doesn't trust too many of the media. He trusts Mike Silver, man. They have a relationship that far extends the Washington Commanders, but he has some very interesting words to say after Ron and Martin Mayhew's exit presser. To quote him, there are many potential targets, some of which I'm told would be better not to mention by name, lest the people in charge of the teams for which they are currently under contract take umbrage and unleash the NFL's tampering police. So no, I won't be specifically citing any accomplished quarterbacks who may or may not be married to a famous singer, Russ, engaged to a famous actress, Rogers, or infamously shelved by a slew of civil lawsuits, Deshaun. Nor will I explicitly ponder the possibility that if a coaching change happens in a city celebrated for its nightlife, a certain QB might not stay in said city, as I did in a recent column for another website. That is Derek Carr. So he's linking what we want to shoot for as for the top possible available quarterback. We don't know how available these guys actually are, but Ron is not settling. We are not just going to go out and trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. We're going to shoot our shots to a real answer first. He goes on also to say, so much for clarity. It's coming, however, because Rivera, along with Mayhew and Martin Herney, is determined to work toward a franchise-defining decision. Such a move, the coach believes, will create a sense of stability inside the building, sending a message to players and fans that the status quo is unacceptable. Unacceptable. What we have on the roster now, unacceptable. Jimmy Garoppolo. You know what? Let's go ahead and just get the Jimmy Garoppolo thing out the way right now. Dude's been in the league for 7-8 years. He's thrown for over 10 touchdowns twice. He's only played in 2 full seasons. Jimmy Garoppolo should not be anything close to an answer or anything we want to connect to, like starting off the rebrand with a boom. Jimmy Garoppolo should not be in our plans. Don't tell me he's a winner. Don't tell me he got carried. They won in spite of him. They would have a ring or two if he could actually finish. If he was actually adequate, they would have a ring by now because that roster is built around him to win. We can't settle for that. I don't need that in my life at all. And the smoke continues because Albert Breer of the Monday Morning Quarterback of Sports Illustrated, he also had an article titled, Washington's Ready to Take a Big Swing. He said, we've got another team that'll be all the way in the 2022 quarterback derby. They're preparing to take a big swing at quarterback. They only have one quarterback under contract, which is not going to be the guy, more than $40 million of cap space and the 11th pick to work with. Their intangible factors, including living in the D.C. area, being on the front of a team in a rebuild, being the face of something fresh, and the fact that cap flexibility could give a quarterback a shot or two to bring a piece or two with him. Put it all together, there's reason to pay attention to Washington as the Commanders throw its hat in the ring. There's no guarantee. Of course, there's no guarantee. We're not promised to get any of these guys. We're not. But we better shoot our shot at every single one of them, especially this guy, Russell Wilson. Say it with me, Commander Wilson, Commander Russ, Dangerous, Mr. Unlimited, Richmond native. Why not us? Kevin Sheehan reported this morning on his show, multiple sources have said this guy would be open to the possibility of playing in Washington. Obviously, the main factor is that will Seattle actually be willing to deal Russ? Will he be actually willing to deal him? And we don't know that. We do not know that at all. But where there's smoke, there's fire, and the smoke is starting to build. People are connecting dots. Mike Garafolo, all these guys are saying Washington's number one target this offseason is Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson. 33 years old, coming off what some people are lying to themselves as a down year. 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. We dream of that type of production here. And then you got to look at the context of it. His receiver, DK Metcalf, regressed. His offensive line is terrible. And he still put up 25 and 6, despite the fact that he missed 3.5 games with a broken finger and still came back, finished the season strong as ever. He's easily going over 30 touchdowns if he plays the full season. And I want to tell you guys something. There's 2 narratives I see that are just complete blasphemy. You're comparing us potentially acquiring Russell Wilson to the Alex Smith or the Donovan McNabb trade. Are you guys out of your motherfucking minds? Are you serious right now? Russell Wilson is a first ballot gold jacket Hall of Famer the day he retires. The day he retires. Absolute bona fide superstar on and off the field, unscathed football character and off the field character, leader of men, and the perfect face to rein in a new era of Washington football as the Commanders. Donovan McNabb, 9 years removed from his only 30 touchdown season. And yes, I know the ball was passed less in the early 2000s, but 9 years removed from his best season, us trading for him, that's similar to Russ. The way Russ takes care of his body, he can play as long as Tom Brady did, but he has endeavors off the field that may not require him to play that long. We can have him for as long as we want him to, and he's still elite. Are you guys serious? Alex Smith and Donovan McNabb? Alex Smith threw 20 touchdowns 3 times in his career. Like, let's go through this. Let's go through the stats. What the hell on this stat sheet makes you think Russell Wilson and Alex Smith are anything the same? First of all, Alex Smith was a bust for his first 5 years in the NFL. So let's already disqualify that. Let's look at Donovan McNabb before he came to Washington. He came off a 22-5 season. Oh, similar seasons. No, Russ missed games to injury, and Russ is still in his prime. Y'all are comparing that dude to Russell Wilson? Dangerous. 2 Super Bowl trips, should have 2 Super Bowl rings, but they decided to throw a slant, and he took a chance that he didn't need to, and the ball should have been handed to Marshawn Lynch. But we have to stop settling for mediocrity, settling for inept quarterback play. And we have to stop being so scarred from the past that we're afraid to live in the present. There's 2 places that we do not need to live right now: the past and the future. We need to live in the right now, in the right goddamn now, because it is year 3 of what Ron Rivera is calling a rebuild that takes up to 5 years. It doesn't take up to 5 years. You get a goddamn quarterback in here, and Russell Wilson puts us in contention immediately. If Aaron Rodgers decides to go to Denver or an AFC team, if we acquire Russell Wilson, we have the best quarterback in the National Football Conference, in the NFC. The best. And we'll have him for years because Russ takes care of him. Oh, what if he gets hurt? Use that same logic when you say shit like, bring Jimmy G here. Jimmy G has been hurt his entire career. He has swindled and manipulated the league into paying him hundreds of millions of dollars because he has dimples and a nice smile. He's handsome. He's done nothing in his entire career. He has a 27 touchdown season and a 20 touchdown season. He's never thrown over 10 other than those 2 seasons. Why would we settle for that? Why do we want Mitch Trubisky, who was the 2nd pick of the draft and is a bust and is backing up a great quarterback now? Why do we want that? Shoot for Russell Wilson. Shoot for Aaron Rodgers. Shoot for Deshaun Watson. Let the situation, get all the information you can get out of the situation before you come to a decision like that. All due diligence has to be done. You can't do it like how we did with Darius Geis. We need to get to the bottom of the full situation, but we have to shoot for something substantial and quality enough to put us in contention. I would love to get Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett. Those are my 2 guys, the only 2 guys I want to draft out of this draft class. But before we lock in on having to take one of those guys, we have to do all we can and knock the socks off of one of these teams to get them to trade us their centerpiece, staple, bona fide, baller-ass quarterback. And before I go, Ryan Clark, I don't know what agenda you're trying to spew, but this whole Russell Wilson's not a Hall of Fame, shut it the fuck up. I don't know why he's saying that. I don't know what ESPN program director handed him a script and told him to come out and say that, but you're out of your goddamn mind. And honestly speaking, you're nowhere near good enough to be talking about the Hall of Fame quality of a player and person of the caliber of Russell Wilson. Russell, Sierra, we want you. Jonathan Allen, I see you out there doing God's work. You and Hannah out there talking to CC and Russ, doing God's work because we need it. I want to show y'all something. Everybody that says, oh, let's settle. Let's just get Jimmy Garoppolo and a rookie. Let's get Mitchell Trubisky. Let's get Jameis or Mariota and a rookie. I was 8 years old in 1999. It was the first year I fully understood football because I had been playing football for 2 years at that point. This is all that I have endured. since being a fan of the Washington football team. Brad Johnson, Jeff George, Tony Banks, Shane Matthews, Patrick Ramsey, Danny Werfel, the old ball coaches guys, Tim Hasselbeck, Mark Brunell, Jason Campbell, Todd Collins, Donovan McNabb, Rex Grossman, John Beck, Robert Griffin, Donovan McNabb, Kirk Cousins, Colt McCoy, Mark Sanchez, Josh Johnson. The list goes on. Do you feel me now? Like, do you feel me? We cannot mess this up. This is the most important offseason that this football team has had in my existence, because the team is good enough to drop a great quarterback in and be in the mix right now. We won 7 games with an XFL quarterback who has no goddamn reason to be starting games in the NFL. If you find any downside to trading for Russell Wilson, I don't know what to tell you, but you're on dust or something, because there's no downside to it. There's no regression. This dude's coming off of a 40 touchdown season before this 25-6 season, and every year of the last 4 or 5, he's over 30 touchdowns. Dude's a baller. He's one of the most accurate passers in the history of the league. And I cannot think of a better ambassador at the forefront of a rebrand and reining in new traditions and a winning culture here in DC. So y'all can keep settling for that mediocre bullshit all you want to. I need Ron to follow by his plan and get it done. Sneaky option. For some reason, Kyler Murray scrubbed his Instagram of all his Arizona Cardinals stuff. I don't know what the hell's going on there. I know they can't move him, but I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna need us to monitor it. And I'm gonna need Ron to be out on the West Coast. Since he's been out the West Coast, I'm gonna need him to be out there having conversations. I'm gonna need at Mobile last week, I'm gonna need trade wins to be buzzing, because we were in on golf in Stafford last year and we're this close to getting them. We're done settling, baby. We're done settling. Let's rein in the Washington Commanders football era with a true commander of the huddle. Go get me a superstar, period. Until next time, hell to the Commanders, baby. HTTC, take command. Deuces.
One of the veteran quarterbacks expected to be available is Deshaun Watson. If you were
We can't talk about players on other rosters, just to be fair. But we're going to explore all avenues.
Generally, though, when a guy has character concerns like that, what kind of due diligence do you guys do as an organization?
Well, then we most certainly will do our due diligence, if that's the case. I mean, that's the thing that we have to do more so than anything else is really take a look at all those situations, circumstances, and really kind of go through the process. Obviously, we'd have to find out what the league's going on and saying with things and situations like that. It'd be no different than any other position that we've gone through. You know, we'll go through, a very diligent process. I know Martin and his group will most certainly do that, because when it does come to it, these are the guys that really handle the investigations for us.
Does the culture you're trying to build and where this organization is going, and then kind of some of the things floating around it, make a player like that maybe more risky, because it could set back whatever you're trying to establish here off the field and then in the building?
I don't know, because again, you got to understand what the circumstances are, and to look at certain situations, certain circumstances, you'd like to hope that your culture inside is strong enough to put their arm around people and help them get things going in the right direction too. It's every avenue, guys. We'll cross those bridges as we get to them.